Oh, look at this. Oh, aren't they cute?
I hope they didn't come to mug me.
Yeah.
So I'd be
Well,
here to protect me.
well, I know one thing they like to do. They like to jump in front of your car when you're driving too fast. So, oh, it's shaking the rain off. So,
So they're like four-legged Baltimoreans.
yes, this is America. There's more deer now than there has ever been. That's why there's ticks everywhere. And they always look at you. But whatever. I thought that some people like the animal vids, so we combine them. Oh, all right. Oh, you getting bored already? Anyway, we'll focus on. We'll go a question here. Okay. Uncouth boy. Oh, there's a reader or a reader. Jeez. There's a commentator. You looking at? There's a commentator named Uncouth Boy. I think you might know him, but who knows?
Okay.
Right? Basically, he first off, he wants to know: is there going to be a sequel to American Dreamboat?
If you want me to write a sequel to American Dreamboat, I will.
Uh oh.
But there already is a couple of sequels. It's a whole series. It's a universe. It's the actual future. I plan on getting my Philip K. Dick stripes off of American Dreamboat. So the World of American Dreamboat, the prequel, is The Last Good Cop. The Tao of Juan Stabone.
The last good cop. What was the
Okay.
first good cop? Oh,
Okay, so, and that was written for a former cop at his request. That's the prequel to American Dreamboat. The sequel to American Dreamboat, the first one, is Ghost Snatcher.
Oh.
Okay, and the next sequel is Wake Christopher. The alternative title is Whack the Blue.
Oh God.
All right. So,
we back the blue around here.
so there is
Mister.
on the JamesLaFond.com website. There is, and there's a number of omnibus fiction collections that have between 4 and 8 titles each, and one of them is titled America the Brutal. Okay, and it's all law enforcement based fiction, and they're mostly kind of like the Rampage type
Are you
novels.
are you shilling?
Okay,
Are you shilling right now?
well, I'm doing it for me. Is that still showing?
That's shilling.
Okay. Oh, I'm
You-
sorry. I'm sorry.
Too many grifters in
Okay,
this
so-
this movement,
But that
bowel movement.
I will attempt to put these things individually in print. I still have to learn how to do that since the print publishing kind of ground to a halt over the past year. But the Ghost Snatcher is close to my heart. Okay, it's just I cast myself as the mulatto uh, warrant officer Burstan Desalaines, who has just graduated from the Social Justice Academy in Portland, Oregon, and he has been given a crew to command to go to the Rocky Mountains to disarm the last guilt-raced people there. And he has a crew that consists of the foremost storied social justice enforcers, okay, old school Johnson, Acetylene Jackson, Crankshaft Witherspoon, and Mainline Watson, who is actually, he's like the negotiator, and he mainlines whiskey and cocaine alternately through an irrigation system. So it's good, healthy fun.
And I'll include this. The other question he had, it's a pretty easy one, I think, but he's mentioning the idea of what is your thought of how like nations or certain countrymen, races, ethnicities, at one minute they're conquering the world, and then just like centuries later, they're everybody's bitch or doormat or what have you. He mentions the Italians. Oh, hey, slow down. The Greeks. That yeah, you could say that. And the Tartars of all people. Oh, I scared the deer. Right. But
So I mentioned the Tartars, right?
yeah, the Tartars. Yeah. Although which Tartars are we talking about? But essentially, I mean, what is your opinion on that? Other than people get soft over time.
People really dislike the great captain theory of history, but for instance, the Tartars. They were only effective when they were led by a military genius who was ruthless and could deal with their duplicitous behavior. The Bantus were only effective when they were led by Shaka and his nephews. So there is that. There's the basic military problem that once you conquer anything, uh, you're now uniquely unqualified to maintain that conquest. So you end up becoming like Andrew Jackson and his family, who said, I am a warrior so that my son can be a farmer and so that my grandson can be a poet.
Yeah. Right.
So you have like this 3-generation decadent cycle that's going to follow on any victory. It's replicated in most heavyweight boxing champions. Buster Douglas is like the perfect example of a successful national military. And generally, successful national militaries will go through a crisis period at the beginning of the next war, because in the peaceful interim that they earn through their success, they're still training to fight the last war rather than the next war, and they've had to bring in a lot of management people. If you look at the history of the generals on both sides in the beginning of the American Civil War, and the British commanders trying to hold America against the revolutionaries in the 1770s, you'll see the political leadership continuing to sort out management types and get them out of there and get the action guys back in there. And then, of course, after the war is over, you immediately have to get rid of the action types like Patton and bring in the administrators.
Yeah.
Because it's a whole different thing. And without getting into, certain cultural defects that certain groups carry with them, I would just say that the social mechanics that follow on success in masculine pursuits just sets you up.
Yeah.
How many pro athletes don't end up becoming the servants throughout most of their life to their wives, to their parents, maybe to the media company that owns the ball team that they retired from, and then they go back for 30 years and work as an announcer or something, and they're not allowed to say certain things, and they got some girl in her 20s telling them what they can and can't say behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of built in. It's a perpetual challenge.
I'll use an example just real quick, like the Spanish, right? The Spaniards, the conquistadors. These people, I argue, are even greater than the Mongols, because with just a few bunch of guys and hand weapons and unreliable firearms, they took over places all over the damn planet. Okay? Whereas the Mongols, you had a large army that was building up and could use other tribes, as like he had mentioned with the Tatars or whatever. It was just a bunch of independent dudes. They didn't even coordinate with each other. One guy would go off somewhere. Point I'm making is, with all the stuff that's happened in Spain, of course, their empire they lost. It was a very poor nation. They went through a lot of turmoil in the 20th century. And today, even though the good guy won the Civil War, in my opinion, in Spain, you lost the peace. Right? Spain is now a little laid back. People are probably still better on average, even though they're kind of left wing, but they're not left wing. The women are still beautiful. The men are still, they're not going to take too much crap, let's say. Using it as an example, the thing working on all Europeans, why we're soft. You know why things are soft. It's done from above. In addition to all the natural courses of, there's only so much capital you have of, being ass-kicking conqueror people. But I would argue that probably would exist more if not for, obviously what's being done from above, which is a huge thing.
There's one key social mechanic. It's the husband. Husband, the root word for husband, it's housebound.
That's right.
It's just a way of using a woman to produce hostages.
Yep.
Okay, for the man. So he behaves when he's outside of his district or when he's fighting a war for his master, it's a surety that he'll come back.
Right.
And there's been very few warfighting men who have said, no, I'm not going back. Because not only do they have their wife back there, they have their sons and daughters back there, and they don't want them to be punished. The only group that I knew that stuck it to the man were it was a group of Persians that were punished, and they were sent into Ethiopia as a garrison, and they disobeyed the King of Kings. And when the ambassador went there, he reminded them that we were holding your wives and your children hostages for your good behavior. And they said, we have new wives and we have new children. Again, Western historians, like everything else Herodotus wrote, said, no, that was BS, that would never happen, never did happen. But like everything else Herodotus wrote, turned out to be right. There are recent DNA studies that show a high percentage of DNA in certain areas of the Ethiopian highlands.
Right, and we call, what we call those Persians? We call them the Chads.
Okay,
Exactly.
so that's the only group that I know that did that, other than the conquistadors. A lot of the conquistadors left left their family behind, and they just struck out, and they went for it. And certain people did that in the western United States on a smaller scale. So it's there. It's a perpetual challenge.
Yeah, I'll just add too, like technology. Of course, everyone forgets about technology, except when it comes to discussing it in terms of entertainment or whatever. Technology alone has just made everybody soft. So you combine all these things and then the natural process, and you get what you get. But anyway, it's gone along
Thanks.
on this. Yo, Uncouth boy, that's for you, boy.